So there is something, as I mentioned, as refugee and refugee crisis in the previous slide. So what made Tan Le to move from her place in South Vietnam to Australia? So for this, we need to know about the background of the Civil War. The Civil War occurred and shook the it really troubled the people living in South Vietnam. So it was between 1955 and 1975, a conflict broke out in Vietnam between the North Vietnam, headed by the communists, and South Vietnam with their allies, including Australia and USA. So the conflict was it was not between two different neighboring countries, but between inside Vietnam, between the North Vietnam and South Vietnam. The North Vietnam was headed by the communists, and South Vietnam, they never supported communists, but they received the support from their allies like Australia and United States of America. By the year 1975, the communists they gained control of Saigon, a very prominent place in South Vietnam, and finally the whole of the country. So initial preoccupation of North Vietnam was Saigon, and later the entire South Vietnam came under the control of North Vietnam. And during this war, more than 3 million people were killed. More than half of these were Vietnamese citizens. So it is a very tragic disaster that this war took away the lives of about 3 million people, and most of the Vietnamese citizens, they lost their lives, and it was really a tragedy. The buildings and farmlands were confiscated, were taken away by the communists, and they made it as a strict rule at that time that the people of South Vietnam, they should never move to any of the neighboring countries or to any part of the world. So even the movement became very much restricted. But amidst these challenging circumstances, certain people they try to move away from, they try to flee away from South Vietnam to the different parts of the world. So we call such a process where we do not have permission to move. Such a movement is called the illegal migration or illegal movement of people. So Tan Lee's family also became part of this illegal movement. She lost her father and grandfather in the war. So the people they left in overcrowded boats because of this single reason, the refugees, they came to be called as boat people. Some got drowned, some were killed, and some were kept in the refugee camps for years and years. And some of the people landed in the countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, then Philippines, and some even made their route to northern Australia. So by this, it is clear that how Tan Le and her family members they settled in Australia. So it was actually an illegal migration which was not at all permitted by the Vietnamese government, or especially the communist government or the authorities, but still to lead a better life rather than to lead a life of slavery, Tan Le and her family members, along with other people in South Vietnam, they left in overcrowded boats to the neighboring countries, and some people reached the different shores of the world, and Tan Lee's family reached Australia. Yes, so Tan Lee's story is described as a success story. Though she faced many hardships, challenges, and painful experiences, the ultimate thing, the moment of success she has experienced after long years. So her story can rightly be described as a success story. She was a Vietnamese born Australian telecommunication entrepreneur and co founder of the software company titled Emotive. So, though she has completed graduation in law, she was not much interested to pursue career in law. So she decided to migrate from Australia to San Francisco, and where she um, developed a software company. It was under a partnership, under the partnership, and that company was titled as Emotive. So this is how Stanley became known to the entire world as the co-founder of Emotive. And she was another feather to her cap is the earning of the title Young Australian of the Year in 1998. That was during her stay in Australia. So, where did she stay in Australia? She lived in Footscray, and Footscray is a place in Australia being surrounded by the people belonging to Vietnamese community. So, several migrants from Vietnam they settled in Footscray, and very soon Footscray became the hub of Vietnamese community. She also published a book titled The Neuro Generation in the year 2020, that is 4 years back. Um, and her story featured in the National Museum of Australia, her success story. And that is why I said that Tanley's story is something that we need to be appreciated, we need to be shared across the generations. And even the National Museum of Australia took it as an honor and pride to exhibit her, the story of Tanley. And let me quote a statement made by Tanley. Accomplishments must be moved on, move further, and push others with you. So she is not complacent with the accomplishments. For her, accomplishments must be moved on. Yes, so though we achieve several accomplishments in our life, we need to move ahead with these accomplishments. We need not have to glorify these accomplishments, and we need not have to live all the day with these accomplishments. So once we fulfill certain accomplishment, the next we have to move further, maybe in search of another accomplishment. That is the basic key motto behind Tanley's success story.